Thank you so much for joining me in this teaching, and you're welcome to the mountains of Africa. I'll be talking about a serious topic. Can I marry two wives or can I divorce? What is God's opinion of marriage and divorce? If you're a teenager, as a teenager, you might have had some fantasy. Maybe imagine yourself with a lady, a young, vibrant, energetic lady, alone by yourself on an island. She's healthy, she's strong, the place is secure, there's enough food and water and everything, and you're also available, and just the two of you. All she wants is you, and all you want is her. Just imagine. Every young man has had that fantasy. I've had that too, and other people have had it too. Where did that come from? It actually came from God. That was God's idea. God created a man, Adam, placed him in the garden where there was everything, and then made a woman and brought it to the man and said, be fruitful, multiply. So God is the one that created those things. God is not a killjoy. God wants your pleasure. So God created these things. Marriage is created by God, and it was created for a reason. There's a reason. Today people ask, can I marry two wives? Can I marry more than one? There's a reason, many reasons people give for marrying several wives. A few of them are this. Number one, a person says in biology there's XY chromosome. The female has XX and the male has XY. So the ratio of male and female is 3:1. 3 females and 1 male. So a man should have 3 women to balance biology so that there will be no excesses in the society. And some other persons will say a man needs to have more because men engage in labor that are dangerous. And when there's warfare, men are the ones that get killed. So it has reduced the number of men. So men should actually have maybe 4 wives or more. And some other persons said because of age, biology, age favors men more. So if a man is married, after about 15 years, the woman is no longer as agile as she used to be. It's like you have a football match. In a football match, when one player plays for too long, the player gets weak. And then they have to substitute, bring somebody else from the bench to help the player. So as they say, oh, it's like after 15 years, the woman is weak. She doesn't have as much speed as she used to have. So you bring a new person from the bench, introduce someone else, you understand? There is need for speed. And then after another 15 years, you can still bring in another person after. So maybe like 3 different times of ranges of 15 years, you are bringing different people, so that the man can keep up. Some men actually have very high testosterone levels. So intercourse, sex is something very, very serious for them. For them, it's a serious matter. So they take that very seriously. A man is proving he's a man, just to show that you're a man. But we don't have all the time. There's limited time. We have limited energy, we have limited time. So time is going. If you're using your energy for those things, you might not be able to use it for other things. And so some will say, some women get tired, mood swing. If a woman is in mood swing, you have to. You go this right, she's in mood swing, you go to the left, you rest, everywhere is good, like that. So there are different reasons. Now, many of our fathers had multiple wives. The first person that gave us the scripture, Moses, he grew up in Egypt, he was brought up in Egypt, he was a military leader. And then he went for a military mission in Ethiopia. And then he met a lady in Ethiopia. Her name is Tabis, a young, vibrant Ethiopian lady. And then he married Tabis and came back to Egypt and then was with her. After a while, he had the challenge and then ran away from Egypt and went to Midian. And then he married somebody else. He married Zipporah and was there until God met Moses. And then Moses had to come back to Egypt. So when he came back to Egypt, Tabis was still there. She had not married. And she was waiting for Moses. When Moses defeated Pharaoh and was leaving, Tabis left with her. That was the Ethiopian lady she married. And then in the Bible, Aaron and Miriam, the elder siblings of Moses, were not happy about that. And it caused some challenges. So Moses actually ended up having 2 women that he had married. And Abraham, our father too, had Sarah. They went to Egypt in Africa. And Sarah saw a lady she liked, an Egyptian lady, Hagar, and then married her, carried her for herself. And in those days, a woman can give her maid to the husband to produce children. And so he gave the maid to Abraham to produce a child, and then they had a child. And when Sarah had her own child, it became a challenge. This is the challenge in every polygamous family. There is competition. In James chapter 3, verse 16, it says, where there is envy and strife, wherever envy and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. When there's envy and strife in the family, it's open to evil work. It is the challenge with every polygamous family. In monogamous family, but there is more in polygamous family. Look at the family of Jacob, for example. Joseph went to greet his half-brothers. He thought they were happy with him, and they were planning to kill him. Why? They felt intimidated by the vision, by the dream he had. So this thing happened in many families. So a person that grew up in a polygamous family, if you're not careful, you start competing with your siblings, and that's the dangerous competition. When you compete with your siblings, You compete with your friends. This one has gotten admission. This one has gotten this. This one has gotten a job. And then I've seen people competing with their wives, competing with their spouses. Reuben was competing with his father. Jacob went to his father's bed and slept with his father's concubine. So this competition is something you really, really need to watch out for. Now, there's the reason for marriage. Jesus, our master, did not talk so much on marriage because the foundation of marriage has been destroyed permanently. Satan destroyed the foundation of marriage, aided and abetted by Adam. They destroyed the entire foundation of marriage. Marriage was supposed to reflect the unity of the Godhead. How God is united in heaven, that's how man and woman are supposed to unite in the earth. But that was destroyed. When Adam sinned, something was introduced, that's divorce. The first reason for divorce is death. Death came as a result of Adam's sin. Adam was not supposed to die. He was supposed to have that union with God. God passes through us as light, inspiration. That's how God passes. When we are married to God, it's his inspiration that goes in through us. So when Adam sinned, it was blocked. Death crept in, and then he was separated from God. So the first thing that caused divorce is death. When there's no death, God didn't design marriage for divorce. But when death came, divorce became possible. So Jesus said, if people can be separated, marriage can be separated for fornication. Adam took a new master. He no longer was with God. He took a new master. That's like fornication. And then he had a new master, and God chased him out. There was a separation. God put a sword and put cherubims there, so Adam could no longer approach God. In Hades, there are two compartments. There was one of people that were separated, kind of separated. He called it Abraham's bosom. When Jesus said Lazarus died, that's where he went to. Abraham's bosom. They are separated. Jesus came to reconcile them back to God. And then there's another compartment. The people are divorced. That one is permanently and forever. They will not be joined again to God. When a person is divorced, they don't come back again to God. So this is what happened. Marriage was destroyed. So in today's life, marriage has been reduced now to the thing of the flesh. It is now to meet a particular need. When we marry, is to supply a need. If a man is castrated, for example, a young man is castrated, we will say, oh, there's no money to marry, because what are you marrying for? The reason for the marriage, the reason for that union is been defeated. Or if a lady has surgery, maybe she was young and she had the surgery and she can no longer have intercourse. We say, oh, there's no point marrying again, because this is what the marriage is for. This is what it's been reduced to. So it is now for today. It's no longer an eternal thing. If a woman marries me and I die, she can marry somebody else. If that person dies, she can marry again. She can just keep marrying. It's not an eternal thing. It's not functioning according to the design any longer. It has derailed from the design. So it's just fulfilling that kind of need. So some persons will ask, can I divorce my wife or can I divorce my husband? In the mind of God, divorce does not exist. It is not something that can enter into the heart of God. This is not the design. This is not how it was created. Having 2 wives or 3 is not the factory design. That's not how God designed the earth. In 1 Corinthians chapter 7, Paul was responding to a question they asked him. Say, according to what you asked me, is it okay for a man not to touch a woman? He said, yes. It is good that a man not touch a woman. It's good for a man not to be away from a woman, to avoid cohabitation and all of that thing. But to avoid fornication, he said this is the reason now. To avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife and let every woman have her own husband. Why? To avoid fornication. And then he go on speaking. In verse 10, he said something. He said, this is the commandment I gave you. He said, not I, but the Lord. He said, this is what God is saying. This is the mind of God. He said, a woman should not depart from her husband. But if she departs, separate from him, let her remain single. She should not remarry, or else come back to the man. So there's no divorce. If you separate from the man, you remain single, or you come back. That's the only option before God. And a man should not put away his wife. So before God, there is no divorce. Then in verse 12, Paul said something. He said, now to the rest, he said to the rest of you, this is what I say. He said, this one is not God, it's me talking it. He said, not the Lord, I'm the one saying it. God did not speak about this one. God did not tell Paul to go and say this. This is what Paul was saying because of the current situation. He said, this is because of the arrangement today, because of the fallen nature of man. He said, this is what I am saying. This is not from God. Jesus is silent about this issue. I am the one saying this. He said, to the rest, I speak, not the Lord. I speak. If a man has a wife that doesn't believe and she's pleased to be with him, you are married to somebody and she doesn't believe the same way you believe and she's pleased to be with you, let her not go. But if she wants to leave, she should leave. A brother or sister is not bound in such matters. A woman got married somewhere and then she became a Christian, gave her life to Christ, and then in that region, they say, oh, if you become a Christian, we'll do this with you, and she escaped. You understand? Her life was in danger, and then she came to a place. You can't tell her to stay single. In such cases, you are not bound. What happens? The marriage has ended. You remarry. This is an arrangement. This is not from God. This is an arrangement in the earth realm. So Paul gave such allowances, but in the beginning, that was not the design. So we are expecting the Messiah. When the Messiah arrives, there will be a restoration. Everything will go back to factory setting. If you look at Revelation chapter 21, it talks about New Jerusalem, a city coming from God. That is the city God created for Adam. The position that Jesus is occupying today is the position Adam was supposed to occupy at the right hand of God. Is Adam's position, is man's position in unionship with God. So there will be a new city, a new Jerusalem that will come down from heaven to the earth. It is called the bride of Christ. So we'll have one church, that's one body, we'll have one Lord. He will be our God and will be his people. So it will be like a marriage and it will never end. No divorce, because death would have stopped. God will remove curse, remove death. That's remove divorce. So we'll live forever. No more death. Nobody's dying again. So we'll be forever with God. If Adam and Eve had not died, they would have been married today. So when death came, that's what brought divorce. That's the major thing that brought divorce. And then when death is removed, divorce went. So divorce is not the plan of God. Separation is not the plan of God. Two wives are not the plan of God. The way God ordained it, Jesus said from the beginning, in the beginning, it was not so. So when you do the mind of God, you do it how God has arranged it to be. So in that New Jerusalem, some people will be resident there, some will be visiting. And those that are closer to Christ, those that are doing the mind of Christ today, they will be resident in the New Jerusalem. And then some that do not do the mind of Christ will only be visiting and going back. Thank you so much. And I hope this has helped one or two persons. God bless you. And before you go, I'll pray with you. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you shalom. Give you healing in any area that you desire healing. I desire direction. God bring direction to you in Jesus' mighty name. Thank you so much. I'll be coming your way some other time. God bless you richly. I love you. Thank you.